candidate. He's healing the sick. He's raising the dead. He's walking on water, which was not a messianic prophecy, but it's like a bonus. You know, Jesus threw it in there. So, and so then you have this high attendance weekend, and you send out mass email, and you tweet about it and all, you know, and you have the largest crowd you've ever had, right? And so worship starts, let's say it was on a Sunday morning, worship starts at 10 or 10:30, you know, and then you, after worship, you have a few video announcements, you know, and then the guest Messiah gets up to speak. And at 12 noon, he's still going. 1 o'clock, he's still going. 2 o'clock, I mean, you've already missed the first game. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I'm not exaggerating. Look again at verse 12. It says, when the day began to wear away. You know what that means in the Greek? In the Greek, that means when the day began to wear away. Luke's a physician. It's amazing how he said this. When the day began to wear away. Okay, so here's what I think happened. I think the disciples formed a little committee. I think they kind of got together, you know, over here, and they said, man, what are we going to do? I mean, this guy's good, but no one's this good. I mean, it's going on and on and on. And I'll tell you what, if I don't eat soon, I'm going to die. I'm going to die right here. I'm going to starve to death right here in front of every one of you. And I think one of them said, that's it. And they said, what's it? They said, let's tell Jesus that the people are getting hungry. He seems to care a lot about the people. He doesn't seem to care much about us, but he seems to care a lot about the people. And so now imagine that you are elected the spokesperson, okay? So I want you to see this in your mind. Great big crowd. Jesus is there, and you walk up to him while he's speaking. This is the inference from Scripture, that they interrupted him while he was teaching, okay? And so you walk up to him and you say, Lord, excuse me. Excuse me. Well, this has been good today. I'll tell you, this has really been good. This series of messages you're bringing all in one day. We feel like that the people are getting hungry. Now, we could go all night. I was just telling John, I could go all night. I'll tell you, this is just... we feel like the people are getting hungry, and it's getting late, Lord, and the restaurants are closing. And so we feel like that you should just wrap it up. And the Lord said, you're concerned about the people. Yes, Lord, it's all about the people. And so then he says something. Look, maybe you've never seen this, verse 13. But he said to them, then you give them something to eat. Excuse me? Yeah, you and your little group over there, you're concerned about the people. Why don't you give them something to eat? Okay? It didn't go like you planned, did it? And now the hard part is you got to report back to the committee. So you go back over and they say, well, did you tell them the people were hungry? I did. I said that. I said those very words. I said the people were hungry. Well, is he going to dismiss the service? Well, what did he say? He said for us to give them something to eat. What? He said for us to give them something to eat. What? 20,000 people here. And then there's some little kid that snuck back into town and is walking by with a Long John Silver sack. And you know, they just kind of grabbed the sack and opened it up. He got the 2-piece meal with extra rolls. And of course, Peter, you know, probably just kind of grabs one. They said, stop it, Peter, stop it. That's all we have. And one of them said, that's it. What's it? Let's tell Jesus this is all we have. And he'll dismiss the service. Okay, now, if you've never read this story in the Bible, does that not make sense to you? If you had been a disciple that day, and you said we have 2 fish and 5 rolls for 20,000 people, wouldn't you think he'd say, okay, we're going to go to a restaurant? Okay, right? Okay, so again, you're the spokesperson. Lord, excuse me, just one more. Excuse me. You know, a moment ago we were talking about how good this teaching is, and you said, you know, for us to give them something, and we've been working on that, and all we have, Lord, is 2 fish and almost 5 rolls. Peter ate some, but And so we feel like that, we should just go with our original idea and just wrap it up. And the Lord said, okay, you have 2 fish and almost 5 rolls. I know how Peter is, right? Is that, yes, Lord, that's all we have. Yep, that'd be great. Have us sit down in groups of 50. Excuse me? We don't have a lot of these snack packs, Lord. There was a kid, and Peter took it from him. I didn't take it from him, Lord. Yeah, that's great. Have us sit down in groups of 50. Now, have you ever thought about this? Getting people to sit down in groups of 50. 20,000 people. Now, I don't know about you, but have you ever worked with people? I mean, people are hard to work with, aren't they? Okay, so they get them all set down. Okay, here's, again, this is just my holy imagination, okay? I think that the disciples think they figured it out. I think one of them might have said, hey, when we were getting them set down, do you remember the story where Elisha fed 100 men with 12 loaves of bread? Yeah. Well, we have someone greater than Elisha. I'll bet that when he prays over it, it's going to multiply right from us. And many people think that's what happened. That's not what happened. But I think when they said that, Peter, I know I pick on Peter a lot. I know that. I kind of relate to Peter. Peter always seemed to say the wrong thing at the wrong time. Have you ever noticed that? I mean, it's just, Mount of Transfiguration. Jesus is there. Moses and Elijah show up. And Peter says, it's a good thing I'm here. It didn't matter that Peter was there. And the Bible says, while he was still speaking, a voice from him. You know you're talking too much when the Father has to interrupt you. And what's amazing is you go over to Acts 10, while he was still speaking, the Holy Spirit fell. It's like the Holy Spirit's up there. Okay, wrap it up. Right? Okay, I gotta go. Just couldn't wait. Okay, so I relate to Peter a lot. I know when I get to heaven, he's going to say to me, why did you talk about me that way in the sermon? Okay, so Peter probably grabbed the roll, and just went over and said, here, Lord, here, prayer of mine first, here, prayer of mine first, prayer of mine first, Lord. Okay, I have to tell you one more thing about Peter. I just thought of it. Do you remember when Jesus said, who do men say that I am? You remember? Some say Elijah, some say John the Baptist, some say one of the prophets. Okay, who do you say I am? Peter said, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said, flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven. Here's what I think he's saying. This is a miracle. That's a miracle. Now you got this right. Okay. So anyway. I'm sorry. So Peter probably says, here, Lord, here, prayer of mine, prayer. Watch, John, just watch what happens when he prays, Lord. Okay. Look at verse 16. He blessed and broke them and gave them to the disciples to set before the multitude. So here's what actually happens. He takes this roll from Peter, he lifts it up, and he says, Father, bless it, breaks it, and gives half of it back to Peter. Are you through praying? Yes, Peter, go give it out. You want to pray some more? No, Peter. Now hear this. It's blessed. Now go give it away. Watch what happens when you give away what's blessed. Watch what happens. Personally, I think Peter went up to the first person and said something like this. Take just a little piece. What would you have said? Take a little piece. Take a little piece. I said little piece, you pig. What is wrong with you? Take a little piece. He gets down to the end of the row, and there's a crumb left in his hand. Sweat pouring down his brow. The guy reaches to grab it, and it grows in Peter's hands. And he says, hey, you have some more? Okay. Listen, the miracle did not happen in the master's hands. It happened in the disciples' hands when they obeyed the master. So there are 2 principles of multiplication from this passage. They're real simple. Number 1, it has to be blessed before it can multiply. It has to be blessed before it can multiply. Now, I want you to think about this. I know you may be writing that down, but listen while you're writing, all right? Think about this. What if they had passed the fish and the loaves out before Jesus prayed over it? Would it have ever multiplied? No. Because it's the blessing of Jesus that gives it the power and the potential to multiply. Okay, listen to me. The Bible says, this is New Testament, by the way, that when we tithe, Jesus himself receives our tithes and blesses them. Jesus himself. When we bring the first part, like we talked about last week, when we give the first to God, the rest is blessed. But it can't multiply without the blessing of Jesus. I know people that give a little here and give a little there. Listen, their finances will never multiply because they're not blessed by Jesus. And we get that blessing by tithing to our local church. So number one, it has to be blessed before it can multiply. Number two, it has to be given away before it can multiply. It's simple, right here in the story. It has to be given away before it can multiply. All right, think again about this. What if after Jesus had blessed it, what if they'd eaten it? Never would have multiplied. They had to give it away. Again, there are people who tithe, but they don't give over and above the tithe. Here's the sad part. Their finances had the potential to multiply, but they never multiply because they don't give it away. Above, over and above the tithe. Okay, let me tell you how God did this in my life and in Debbie's life. We were married when I got saved. I got saved in a motel room. I'm sorry, okay? I was not in church when I got saved. You're not going to die in a funeral home. It's convenient, but it probably won't happen. But I wasn't in church, I'm sorry. But you can't get saved in church. But I was in a motel room called Jake's Motel, room 12. Okay. Jake's has no stars. Just so you know. But they did provide pets. Okay, so anyway, all right. So I get saved, and Deb and I are already married, go to church, and a few months later, and the pastor, I go start going to church, but a few months later, the pastor preaches on tithing. Okay, I wasn't smart enough to argue with the Bible. By the way, that's a good place to be. He said you have 10%. Deb and I were making $600 a month when I got saved. Combined income. Just to be honest, she made $400, I made $200. The reason I tell you that is because I want you to know, you are looking at a man that on his own has the ability to make $200 a month. So we make $600 a month, so I give $60 that day. My boss calls me in the next day and says, I'm giving you a raise, $200 a month. He doubled my salary in one day. And I'll never forget what he said. He looks at me right in the eyes and he says, and I have no idea why I am doing this. It was God saying to me, do it my way. Watch what happens when you do it my way. Okay, so then I go to Bible college. Then I start traveling and preaching youth revivals and things like that. And then one day the Lord says this to me. In my quiet time, he says, I want you to get your finances in order so I can bless them. Now that's extremely important. I told you last week there are some things God can't do. God can't bless something that's out of order with his word. He can't bless it. So he said, I want you to get your finances in order so I can bless them. I said, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? He said, number one, get out of debt. I want you to get out of debt. It took us several years. He said, I want you to get out of debt. So we started getting out of debt. The first thing we did was we sold a car that we had a big payment on. We shouldn't have it. And we bought a car for cash, $750. That was all we could afford. But we loved that car. We really did, because we were getting in God's will. We prayed over that car. We anointed it with oil about a quart a week. And we drove that car. The second thing the Lord told me was, don't manipulate. Number one, get out of debt. Number two, don't manipulate. Now I was in the ministry at this time, traveling preacher revivals. Lots of ministers manipulate. Lots of people manipulate. They drop hints. How do you know if you drop a hint whether it's ever God that met your need or not? So for me, I said, Lord, what do you want me to do? He said, at that time, pastors would call and say, can you come speak? And I was doing youth meetings mainly. And they would say, what are your financial requirements for coming? And I would say, pay our expenses and give us an offering. And that was standard. That was just normal. I had some friends that would say, pay our expenses and give us an offering, and it has to be a minimum of. I never even said that. I just said the normal thing that I'd been taught, pay our expenses and give us an offering. So the Lord said to me, from now on, when they say, what are your financial requirements for coming? You say, I have no financial requirements for coming. I said, okay. So this pastor called and said, hey, can you come? And I said, yeah, we worked out a date. And then he said, what are your financial requirements for coming? I said, I have no financial requirements for coming. He said, what do you mean you have no financial requirements for coming? What do you mean? I said, I mean, I have no financial requirements for coming. He said, what do you mean? You haven't? No minister had ever told him that before. I said, I don't know. And then he gets like, he kind of got mad at me. He said, how are you going to live? Just like that. He's an older man speaking to a younger man. He said, how are you going to live? He said, if you come here and preach and we don't give you an offering, how are you going to live? And I said something and it came out wrong. Is that, you ever done that, you know? I really meant it right, but I said to him, I said, listen, if I come preach at your church and you don't give me an offering, I said, God will take care of me and God will take care of you. He said, well, we'll give you an offering. I said, no, I didn't mean that. And I really didn't mean that. I meant God will provide for me and God will provide for you, you know. Another pastor called and said, can you come? I said, no financial requirements coming. I'll never forget, he said, that's good because I'm not sure we could even pay your gas. And he didn't say pay your expenses, he said pay your gas. And the reason I remember that is because we got in the car, we lived in Texas, we drove to Oklahoma. On our way, we stopped to get gas, and I walked in to pay for it, and the lady said to me, it's taken care of. I said, why is it taken care of? She said, because when you pulled in, God told me I was to fill your car up with gas. And I went out and I said, God, I sure like doing it better your way than my way. So the third thing then the Lord said to me was, give. He said, get out of debt, don't manipulate, and give. And I'll never forget what I said. I said, Lord, I do give, I tithe. And it's like the Lord went. He said, son, tithing is not giving. Tithing is returning. It's returning. Giving is when you give over and above, not when you return to me what's already mine. As a matter of fact, this may shock you, but the parable of the talents, remember what he said to the unfaithful servant? You gave to me what was already mine. God doesn't see giving until we give over and above what's already his. So I said, Lord, how will I know what to give, where to give, and when to give? Those are great questions, right? Listen to what he said. I'll tell you. My sheep hear my voice. He said, I'll tell you. I'll tell you when to give. I'll tell you where to give, and I'll tell you what to give. That's okay. So right after that, I go to speak at a church. I have one meeting that month for the whole month. Normally I would have 2, 3, maybe even 5 or 6, you know, if they were one-night things or something, or a week revival, I'd have 2 or 3 of them or something. But I had one meeting for the whole month. It was a Sunday night service only, not a revival, not a week-long meeting, Sunday night only, and it was at a real small church, had about 60 people. The only meeting I had for the whole month. He said, what are your financial requirements? I said, I have no financial requirements. I went and spoke. He got up afterward and said, he told the whole church, this is what he told me, and no minister has ever said that to me. He said, I want us to give him an offering. And at the end of it, he comes up to me, he has the check, and he said to me, look at this. Look at this. And he's doing like this, and he's excited. He said, we've never given an offering this big. And I looked down, and it was enough for the whole month. You have to know at this time now, this is a few years down the road, I actually have a staff member that takes care of setting things up. I'm starting to do some area-wide crusades and things like that. And I had an office and I had expenses, so it was enough not just for my salary, but for everyone's and for the whole month. And I thought, God, you're amazing. 60 people, enough for the whole month. And I'm standing at the front of the church talking to the pastor, and I glance over his shoulder, and at the back of the building is a missionary that spoke right before I spoke. And this voice said to me, give him the offering. And I remember exactly what I thought. Get behind me, Satan. That's not God. That's not God. That's not you, by the way. That's not you. And the Lord said, give him the offering. I'm talking, the pastor told me, and I'm telling the Lord, I said, Lord, you're not thinking clearly. This is exactly what we need. I said, you got all pumped up by the message tonight. You're not thinking right. The Lord said, I told you, I'd tell you when to give, and where to give, and how much to give. And I'm telling you to give the whole offering to that missionary right now. So I waited until it cleared out some, and the missionary was still in the back, and someone left, and he and I were the only ones left in the building. And I went up to him and I endorsed the back of the check and I folded it in half so he wouldn't see it because it was a very large amount. And I said to him, I'm going to give you this on 2 conditions. Number 1, don't look at it until after you leave. Number 2, don't ever tell anyone I did this. Because I didn't want to manipulate. I said, don't ever tell anyone I did this. So he said thank you and left. He didn't know how much it was or anything. And Debbie and I walked out, and there were some couples there from the church. And one of them said, hey, we're going to go get some pizza. Would you like to go? And I said, yeah, because, we're broke. And so I said, yeah. And so we go out, and there were 6 couples, including Debbie and me. And so the 6 guys sat on this end of the table, and the 6 ladies sat on that end of the table. Debbie was all the way on the end, I was on this end. And these 4 guys got to talking, and the guy across from me kind of leans across the table like that, so I lean across the table. I don't know what he's going to say, and he said to me, how much was the offering? And so I told him. And it was dollars and cents. It was not an honorarium. It wasn't a round amount with zeros. It had dollars and cents. I told him exactly how much it was. And then he said to me, where's the check? Right there. And I didn't want to say we gave it to a missionary. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to manipulate. I know you're supposed to tell the truth, but I didn't. And I was also thinking, who is this guy? Why is he asking me these questions? So I just kind of heard myself say, Debbie has it. And he said to me, go get it. I want to see it. So I said, okay. So I got up and I walked down where Debbie was, and I kind of leaned down like this. I said, how's your pizza? Is it good? Okay, good. There's nothing else to say. There's no check. So I come back. I know you're supposed to tell the truth, but I didn't know what to say. I didn't know why he was asking me this. I didn't want to say. I gave it away. So I said to him, it's in the car. And he said, it's not in the car. So I said, where is it? I mean, you know so much, pal, And he said to me, you gave it away, didn't you? I said, how do you know that? Did you see me give it away? He said, no. God told me. And he reached in his pocket, he pulled out a check that he had written before he came to church that night, made out to our ministry. And he opened it up like this, and he held it out, and it was exactly 10 times the amount of the check I just given away, dollars and cents. Exactly. It was the first person that I've ever met that had the gift of giving. Did you know that giving is a spiritual gift? 7 motivational gifts, 29 total gifts probably, but 7 motivational. It's possible 1 out of 7 of you has the gift of giving. And if you get your finances in order so God can bless them, you can give like you want to give. I promise you. So he said, here. And he's holding the top of it, and I reached out and took the bottom of it, but he wouldn't let it go. And I realized he wanted to say something to me. Now I know he wanted to impart something to me. So I'm holding the bottom of it. He's holding the top of this check. I look across the top of that check right into his eyes, and he said, God's about to teach you about giving so you can teach the body of Christ. And he let the check go. And when I got that check, this feeling came over me. This is God's money. This is not my money, this is God's money. So I said, God, what do you want us to do with this? First thing we did was we actually bought a single mama car. We still have the $750 car. We bought a single mama car. And then we paid a guy's salary who was out of work until he got another job. Then we had a missionary. He wanted a new van. We bought him a new van, $12,000. We started giving thousands of dollars away, and thousands of dollars started coming in. People would walk up to me, put checks in my pocket for thousands of dollars, and look me right in the eye and say, God's teaching you about giving. We never sent a mailing list. I never told one of these giving testimonies from the pulpit. Never ever one time did we ask for money. But the more we gave, the more God kept giving us. It was absolutely amazing. And then one day, several years later now, but by the way, we got to the place by God's grace we were giving 70% of our income away. I'm sitting in the chair having a quiet time. And the Lord said to me, would you give everything to me? This was a few years later. We've gotten out of debt. We now have 2 very nice cars. We have a nice home. We have money in the bank. He said, would you give me everything? I said, Lord, I'd love to give you everything. Now, let me say something. I don't recommend that you give everything. I don't. I recommend you give everything God asks you. I think if God asks you to do it. But I think he's everything. Debbie and I sat down and decided where we were going to give everything, the cars, all of our, I knew when the Lord asked me for everything, again, I'm a numbers guy, I went through my mind, everything in the checking account, everything in the personal checking, everything in the personal savings, everything in the ministry checking account, everything in the ministry savings, all of our retirement, 2 cars, and our house. And we sat down and prayed about where to give all the money and the cars, and we gave our house to the pastor that had 5 children and didn't have a house. Gave it all away. The next day, I'm sitting in the same chair, and again, because I'm a numbers guy, I'm adding it up. And I had this thought. And the Lord said to me, "What are you thinking?" I said, "Nothing." Because you know, if you have a thought and you don't tell him, he doesn't know. So he said, "What are you thinking?" I said, "Nothing, Lord." He said, No, tell me what you're thinking." I said, "Well, it's not a spiritual thought, Lord." And he said, "No, tell me." I said, "Well, you know, you've heard that saying that you can't outgive God." He said, "Yeah, I've heard that." I said, "Well, I think I did." I said, "You know, I don't feel bad about it, you know, but I said, this time," I don't know why I said this, I said, "This time, I think I've got you." Just like that. And the Lord said, "You think you've got me?" Like that. And when he said that, the phone rang. I picked up the phone, this guy said, "Robert, God told me to help you with the transportation." And here's what I thought. I thought he's going to give us a car. You know, he's going to give us a car. But even if he gives us a car, I just gave 2 away, and house and everything. And at that time, I'd given 9 away. I have no clue now, by God's grace, how many Debbie and I've been able to give away. By the way, our church gave away 104 last year cars to people that needed cars. 104. So it's contagious when you walk in this. And so I thought, well, Lord, even if he gives us a car, you know, I still got you. I said, well, what did the Lord tell you to do? He said, he told me to buy you an airplane. And he told me to pay for the hangar, the maintenance, the fuel, the insurance, and I've hired a pilot, and I'm going to pay his salary, and here's his name and number, and you just call him and tell him where you want to go and when you want to go. And the Lord said, "Got you." Got you. Now, listen to me. This is not a message, give and you get an airplane, okay? Listen to me. We gave the plane away. We gave that away too, okay? And we've given everything 3 times. But the airplane's not the best part of this testimony. The next day I'm sitting in the same chair and I'm reading about Solomon, most famous story in the Bible about Solomon. Remember what God said to him? Ask anything you want, I'll give it to you. And it says at night, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, ask anything you want. And I remember thinking, what happened that day? What happened that day? I went back and read it. What happened that day was Solomon was inaugurated the king of Israel. You know what happened that day? It was tradition for the king to sacrifice 1 bull. Do you know how many Solomon sacrificed? 1,000 bulls. And I thought, what an extravagant gift. Here's what the Lord said to me. I only say to extravagant givers, ask anything. He said, I'll never say that to a selfish person because I can't trust selfish people. But I can trust givers. Now, I'm not even thinking we just gave everything away. I'm just reading my Bible, and all of a sudden the Holy Spirit said to me, ask. Ask anything you want. And I knew immediately what I wanted. Because as I told you, Debbie and I were married before I got saved. And I was an immoral person. And I had believed that when she found out, our marriage would end. And I said, God, I will for Debbie and I to be passionately loved all the days of our life. And this year we celebrate 34 years of marriage. That's better than an airplane. It's better than an airplane.
I'm not sure if that was the end or not, but it's the end. So we're going to go check it out. Let's see. It's easy when you hear that type of sermon when he's talking about I gave and I got, I gave and I got, I gave and I got, that to think about health, wealth, and prosperity. And in this world, you'll hear a lot of preachers talk about that. And as you read his book, you'll see it's not about that in the focus. Our blessings, I do believe that you can't outgive God, and that when you give, he does give back to you, but we don't always see it in this lifetime. A lot of those blessings are going to be in eternity. And that's where my focus is. You know, why do we want to store up here on earth and get where moth and rust is going to destroy, rather than storing up for ourselves in heaven where it's going to last forever? I know it seems that we are here a long time. I've been with individuals that are in the hospital. They feel like they're about to die and they're on their deathbed, and they're like, but I'm not ready to go yet. I want to see, I want to see my grandkids. I want to do this. In fact, just recently, I heard an individual tell me that. Now, I remember when I was younger thinking, God, I don't want you to come yet because I want to get my driver's license. You remember those times? Or I want to go to prom. I want to get married. I want to have kids. And I know that as fulfilling as this life can be, this isn't where it's at. And it can only be truly fulfilling when we put our hope in Jesus Christ, when we put our trust in him. And we cannot ever outgive God. It is a trust issue. Saying, God, I trust you. Now, I don't know why God chooses to bless some individuals greater than others. Because I have known individuals that were very giving. They had that generosity spirit that he talked about. They gave extravagantly. And they lived paycheck to paycheck and struggled. But I know the reward in heaven will be huge. My thoughts are, whatever God gives you here, it's taken away from what he had in store for you there. Just off the top of my head, thinking a little bit. I don't know, you can ponder that for a while. And I know sometimes people say, well, God, it's okay. I'll take a little bit of what's in eternity now to make this life easier. But I like what Paul had to say. He had found in whatever state he had been in, not state as far as a union, but whatever place. He talked about, this is coming after talking about being beaten, after being shipwrecked, after all these things, that being in prison and being naked and all this stuff. He said, I have found that whatever state I'm in, therein to be content. Because Christ was what was this key, central meaning for his life. As you read through Robert Morris's book, you'll find that's his goal, to put Christ first. Does he spend a little bit more time talking about the getting in this one than I feel comfortable? Yeah. But as he wrapped it up, he talked about the things that are more eternal. The having the happy marriage that he and his wife have. And the peace of relationship with Christ. Those are huge, huge, huge issues. So, when I challenge individuals to give, it's not because I want to get rich, and it's because it's a trust thing, as we talked about past 2 weeks in a row. Trusting God. Saying, God, I trust you more than I trust man. It's yours. That's what it And when we begin to trust God more than this, more than power, prestige, houses, cars, all of this, when we trust God, when we come to that point, we say, God, I'm content with nothing or with everything. I'm content. We're in a perfect place. That's where He wants us to be, because that's when He can use us. When we are totally focused on this and this, we can't put our focus on Him. Does that make sense? That's where He wants us to be. It's a huge step to take. And it's my prayer that we as a church will focus our attention on Jesus Christ and He alone. Would you stand with me as we close in prayer? Father, thank you for your incredible love for us. Thank you that we cannot outgive you. Thank you for the blessings. Thank you that you do promise to provide and give back. And Lord, I pray that you would help us to be content in every season of life that we are in, and that truly we will have a heart of generosity and a heart of thankfulness. And as we live in thankfulness to you, as we live in being generous, I pray that more than the blessings of stuff, that you will bless our relationships, and that people will see our hope and our faith and our trust in you, and they'll want what we have. We love you, Father. Thank you for all that you have given, and all that you will continue to give, and all that you do, Lord Jesus Christ. In your name we pray. And all God's people said, amen. Go in peace.
He quit early today.
We had early, well, you still got a chance